And good morning to you. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I definitely appreciate your support. So many of you have been here with me over almost 300 episodes, tuning in Monday through Friday, every weekday at 8 a.m. to speak with our guests, to ask your questions, to give your comments, and to learn. That's what we do here on the Roundtable Talk Show. But I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do every morning, and that is to go out and be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. There's someone that you know who needs this information. Maybe it's not because of their business. Maybe they need to be inspired. Maybe they feel alone. Maybe they're having a hard time right now, and they need someone to support them and inspire them to be their best self. And that's what we do here on the Roundtable Talk Show. But that person who needs us won't have us unless you go ahead and share the show with them. So while you're sharing the show with your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first guest, Miss Cherice Taylor. Cherice, MA, Education Administration, is the creator and host of Time Matters on Facebook and the Time Matters podcast. She is a relationship builder, poet, and a former educator with over 10 years experience at the preschool through high school levels. A positive attitude and the belief that sharing pearls of wisdom along with the golden rule allows for everyone to improve and reach their personal goals. Good morning, Cherice. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here on your program this morning.
Absolutely, it's an honor. You know, I always tell people I get to learn from the experts. I get to learn from the people that I know. So it's a privilege for me to sit here and to learn from you. So tell us, who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
So I am Cherice Taylor. I'm a California girl who now lives in Virginia. I have, as you mentioned, been in education for many years. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 4 young men. I'm a military spouse. My husband is retired, so that's what brought us to the East Coast. Education is something that's very important to me. I've seen it from the little ones up to high school, from the public school perspective of what's needed, what's missing. We all, as parents, want our children to launch successfully, whatever their path is, whether it's going directly into the workforce, whether it's going to college, whether it is going into the military. It really doesn't matter. We all have different paths. And so my passion is to help our students launch successfully. And I find that it's our parents who don't know what they don't know. And so we have our counselors who are overwhelmed. And so as a parent, I thought, how can I do something to help? So I decided to start a Facebook Time Matters page. And you can find that you have to put at How You Spend Your Time Matters. And so I look for virtual mentors from all career fields to share pearls of wisdom with our parents and our students. And it doesn't matter if they're elementary age or not, or older, because the information that you have is going to empower you to make certain decisions and have choices. And I think it's really important that our students have choices, not to feel like you have to go a certain path, but that you chose to go a certain way, and that's what you wanted to do. So I look for people in different industries to share those pearls of wisdom with our families about their industries, about internships, about shadowing opportunities, and that will enable them to have the equipment that they need to move forward as they plan college. I'm a big advocate for college. That's my path, but I think it gives a lot of opportunities. But you can be an entrepreneur, whatever success means to you is what you should go for. And so that's what I try to do through that avenue. And I recently became a center director at Sylvan Learning Center. And one of the things that they focus on is education is excellence. You have to have the education, whatever it is that you want to do. And so that is where my passion is. And that's where I want to help our students and our families with the podcast. And that's why I created it.
I love it. I love it. I love Sylvan Learning Center. I mean, because it's another way for you to be able to help your students. I love what you had to say. I was just curious why the name Time Matters.
So, you know, how you spend your time does matter. And with my own children, if I see you sitting around, it's like while you're sitting, someone is doing an online course, someone is shadowing somebody, someone is doing research on how to improve themselves, someone's writing a book, they're writing poetry. And so what you do at that time, when colleges look at what you do, when sports teams, what have you done for your craft? If you're an athlete, have you been practicing? If you want to write a book, do you write? Do you journal? What do you do? Or do you just play video games? And if gaming is your passion, what are you doing to learn more about it? Are you volunteering to help somebody? So how you spend your time matters is usually how I end my podcast, because really it's important. And for our students to understand that being a well-rounded person, you have to manage all of your downtime, your uptime. You can schedule that downtime, but it's really important because once time is gone, you can't get it back. And so you have to position yourself to make the most of it. You have to make sure that people respect your time, and that you respect other people's times, and that you learn how to work collaboratively. Because at the end of the day, whether we own a business, we're teaching a class, we're a part of a group, we have to work with other people. We have to value everybody's time, and your participation or not will have an impact positively or negatively on what you do, where you go, the networks that you connect with. And people want to work with other people that are moving forward, and people want to help people that want to move forward.
I definitely agree. I was curious as to where you can, and I like the definition, but as a parent, my children are 24 and 27. One of the things that I know to be true is that students who spend more, or parents who spend more time with their children, have better students. So the time that you spend with your children matters as well. Now, Cherice, I am going to come back to you. Definitely going to continue this conversation. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, the amazing Miss Jenny Chang. Jenny is the event planning mogul that the world of celebrations has long been waiting for. Recognized as one of the country's top 50 event planners by PartySlate and top 10 in Los Angeles by Junebug Weddings, Jenny brings her distinctive and ever-evolving business strategies to break the boundaries of the experiential event sphere. Good morning, Jenny. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. I was sitting here like, is that me?
Everyone does that. I'm like, I didn't read what you sent to me. I'm gonna mess up one day. Somebody gonna be like, I am the Queen of Sheba, and I'm gonna read that too. Jenny is the Queen of Sheba. Thank you for being on the show.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor, honestly. I'm very, very grateful to be connected with all of you and just to introduce myself to, our mutual tribes. So thank you.
You are so welcome. What are you passionate about, Jenny?
God, it's I always love this question, especially because I take a lot of pride in being very passionate about passion. I always say I'm not, one to lead people through positivity, but one in which I like to lead people with what it is that we're all very passionate about. What is it that really lights that fire under all of our feet? And when I find myself really kind of tapping into what I'm passionate about, it leads me to so many different avenues, one in which constantly evolves, right? So when I was 19, I started my first event planning firm, Rockin' Events. And it's evolved into this worldwide experiential production company, which I'm so grateful for. Obviously, we've noticed a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a drop within the last year. But, we're very, very grateful for how this pandemic has really kind of pivoted the event industry. So, I really kind of started this company with just a passion. I've never been invited to a wedding or an event prior to really launching this business. I just decided, I was like, well, I love love. I love people. I love celebrations. I love creating something that we can't quite put we can't quite buy, right? Which is, memories and experiences that we get this opportunity to create. So I started my company, and I want to say about 3 years in, I started another sister company to Rockin' Events, which is called Rockin' University, in which I felt the craving to produce other producers, in essence, creating other creators to really learn the ground up knowledge of experiential planning, design from a non-educational background standpoint. So in essence, like I believe anyone that just has that passion, anyone has that vision and the will to want to succeed in being able to create experiences, I basically created an educational platform where I teach experiential directing from ground up. And so I'm very grateful for that company's success. I've launched, I'm now in this tech field all of a sudden, kind of mind-boggling to realize how I got there. And I started an app called Vow Law, in which is the Uber of wedding planning. And my intention there, I would say my intention coupled with my passion really leads to wanting to spread luxury to the world, giving every couple the access to a Jennifer Lopez wedding experience, right? Having a wedding planner by their side affordably, right? And really being able to expand on this one experience that I believe every couple deserves at least once in their lifetime. So as of recently, I'm an internet celebrity now on TikTok, and I don't know how I got there.
And we're going to talk about that, Jenny. I want to find out more about that, because I know we have some questions, but we got to let the people come in and who are watching the show. So if you have any questions or comments for our guests, please feel free to put those in the chat and I will definitely ask. I'm going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce the next person, the next guest, who is also incredible, Miss Cheryl Himburg. Cheryl is an ambitious coach for your personal success and an accomplished catalyst for your career or business growth. A certified mindset and leadership coach, Cheryl leverages her corporate experience and training as a certified Master NLP practitioner to empower her clients to shatter their own glass ceiling and achieve ambitious results. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you?
Good morning. I am fantastic. I'm so excited to be here with everyone and looking forward to our conversation.
I am excited to have you. Tell us about yourself.
So it's funny because I had someone ask me once, like, I think it's an interesting question when we're out somewhere. The first question from people is, what do you do? And as women, we somehow become defined by our role or our title or what we're doing. And that was a little bit of an identity crisis for me when I transitioned out of my corporate career into entrepreneurship. So about me, and then I'll tell you about my business. About me, I love the water. I feel the most at peace when I'm near or on the water. I have an obsessive fascination with flamingos. I don't know where it came from, but I have found that there's a hotel, a resort in the Bahamas, which I also love, that you can do flamingo yoga. So I'm going to go and do that after this pandemic is over. I won't be doing yoga. I'm literally just going to stand there and hug every flamingo that will let me. I'm a mom of 2 kids. So my daughter is turning 19 next Friday, and my son will be 24 in August. And I married my soulmate 4 years ago. So that's super awesome.
It is super awesome,
Right.
but you are the epitome of why I started asking that question, what are you passionate about? Because at first I was like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
And the guests would be like, but I really wanted to talk about this. And I really want to tell you about hugging the flamingos. And now I'm like, okay, look, what do you want to talk about? What's important to you? And so as a group, we can help you and support you in what you are passionate about, not necessarily what you do.
Yeah, I think it's, I've caught people off guard before when I've answered their question more about me than, I mean, I can give you my LinkedIn profile rundown, but that's, I mean, it's kind of boring, right?
Right.
So it's, but I did work in corporate, just shy of 20 years. My last corporate gig was at BlackBerry. So 26,000 people down to 3,000 people. I was there through it all. And afterwards thought, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I really wanted to create a space where it was community and collaboration for women, just that community collaboration over competition. I saw far too often where there just was that sense of, I've had to claw to get here and you're coming near me and there can't be two of us in the room. And so I really wanted to share resources and supports that I've learned along the way. And my passion has always been empowering others, right? From when I was little, my mom said it was always what I was doing. And from that, it really morphed into me sharing, you know, in corporate, you have your corporate persona. Your hair is always perfect. Your nails are always perfect. You know, like everything's always polished. And when I really, you know, dove into my entrepreneurship journey, I realized I get to just be me. Like I am enough. And it was really, you know, I would be at events and I would talk with women and share about my journey and how I came from a place, I experienced a trauma in my late teens, and that left me with this awful internal dialogue. And I really had such low self-worth. It led me to unhealthy relationships, toxic friendships, and it led me to hold back. And it wasn't until I was introduced to NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, that I was really able to release my attachments to those experiences and go on my journey of what I say is returning to myself. I don't feel that we're lost. I have a bit of a different take on it, is that we're not really trying to find ourselves. We're actually returning to who we are. And we're shedding along the way the weight, the expectations, the limiting beliefs of others in society that have been placed on us, but it's not ours to bear. And so as I opened up more, sharing about my journey and what I did, my business has really morphed into this beautiful thing where I work with women on leadership and business development. But it's, you know, success is 20% strategy. I can teach you that, but it's 80% mindset. And that's not just business, it's life in general. So I often ask people, and I'd love to hear from the rest of the panel on this too, is who here was told growing up to have a good attitude? Have a good attitude and you'll make it, right? You have to have a good attitude. But who here was growing up was taught how to cultivate the right mindset?
No, not many
Or
people.
what the difference is.
You're right.
Attitude is how we interact with the world. Mindset is how we see the world around us.
Right.
So we have two parts to our brain. We have our conscious brain and our subconscious brain. Our conscious thinking is only responsible for 5% of our thinking and actions. That's our willpower. That's our good attitude. That's our forcing ourselves to do something. It'll be that time that, you know, January 1st, everyone's like, I'm going to the gym. This is my year. I'm going to rock it. I'm going to lose these 15 pounds that I've been trying to lose for 10 years. And by February, you're not really going consistently anymore, right? Because the willpower has run out. But our subconscious brain is responsible for 95% of our thinking and our actions. It's developed from the time that we are born to age 7 and 8 before we gain our critical faculty to question things. And these underlying beliefs, patterns, biases impact our thinking and our actions. It's responsible for 95% of our thinking. Our thinking leads to our actions, which draws our results to us.
I agree. We're going into this, Cheryl. We're getting deep into this.
We're going
before
in.
we go, I love to go in, but let me bring everybody into the conversation so we can get to it. I'm going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. You have seen her here before. She was on the Roundtable Talk Show last August. I told you we're almost up to 300 episodes, and we have the opportunity to sit down with this young lady again, Miss Jill Higson. The Writing Den was founded in August of 2017 by Jill Higson, Executive Director, and Christian Michaels, Treasurer. They strongly believe handwriting has the power to transform those in need. Jill is the Chief Curator and founder of the Art Arsenal, a contemporary artist representative boutique that launched in January of 2018. Previously, she worked for over 20 years as a digital sales and marketing executive in New York and Los Angeles. Good morning, Jill. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. It's wonderful to be here. I am already so inspired. I've been taking notes in the spirit of the Writing Den. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Cheryl and Cherice and Jenny, and for having me back at, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been almost a year and what we've all been through, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. Wow. It has been almost a year. What have you been doing? Talk to us.
Yeah, well, since I last saw you, really, I'm back temporarily on the West Coast, my home in Seattle, from New York, and I'm overseeing and adapting and all those good things, the Writing Den, my 501c3 nonprofit, and my business, the Art Arsenal. But most importantly, I'm taking care of my 91-year young mom, who unfortunately has early dementia. So that's been my most important and inspiring job. And that's kind of what I'm doing, balancing those 3 jobs every day.
Let's go. Well, first of all, kudos to you for stepping up, taking care of mom, because that's not easy. You know, so often we're so focused on our own lives and we're like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then life happens. And then, because I've seen people, especially during this pandemic, pivot to be more caretakers than ever before in history. Now you have to stop and go take care of a daughter or a child or a parent or a sibling because they can't take care of themselves. So I definitely applaud you for that, Jill. But I want to go back to when you said you're a 501c3. Yeah. Writing is your passion. What made you decide to make it into a nonprofit as opposed to a for-profit?
Well, it was, it goes back to after, similar to Cheryl, I was in, as you mentioned, in corporate 20 plus years. My last restructure didn't make it through at Thomson Reuters. So I took a break to go back, or thought the new chapter should be back on the West Coast, came to San Diego. That's where I met Christian, as you mentioned. He's my co-founder. He was my boyfriend, and I represent his art too. So kind of all the above, which could be its own show. But I wanted to do something with the homeless. That San Diego has the 5th largest homeless population outside your door, like so many of us in different cities. And it all kind of came to fruition going to a homeless meeting in San Diego, along with my passion for handwriting, which I still have. I grew up, writing thank you notes, birthday cards, everything. We know the power of learning, memorizing, emotional connection of handwriting. So it all came together that way. And it made sense from a perspective to do a 501c3 versus for-profit, business. I grown up, did a lot of volunteering, nonprofits, important, giving back. I just never realized, like for profit, it is a challenge. First, to get the 501c3 nonprofit status, we had to wait 180 days before receiving that status and filing for it. So like everything, I run my 501c3 nonprofit like a business. So yeah, That's how it
One
all
of the
comes
No,
together.
that's wonderful. But one of the things that I've seen with nonprofits, and where, not to judge anyone, but where as a business consultant, I feel that they go wrong is that they do not operate it like a business. They just want to save the world and hug a tree and, but it takes money to be able to help people. It takes resources to be able to go and save the world. And so often they don't ask for the money and ask for the support in a nonprofit. Whereas in a business, you have people who will be like, sell, 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 buy, buy, buy. But the nonprofits are the ones who suffer when they don't see it as a business.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you've got one person doing 5 jobs and they're earning half the salary of a profit business, And so it's important that's one of the things that I've done with my sales and marketing for 20 plus years. I use those skills. It's just Christian and I, we're bootstrapping not only the writing den, but I bootstrap the art arsenal until I sell art. I don't have a salary. And so I'm doing, together, Christian and I, the social media, which is a full-time job, as you ladies know on the table, and Sheree, doing the grants, doing all the, marketing, you name it, I'm doing it. So that's why it's been really interesting, the importance to kind of get back, because I'm so business driven, and kind of going back to what's your passion and your purpose. Oh my gosh, giving back, taking care and making a difference for those in need through the power of handwriting. Not that we're solving homelessness, but we're helping to reconnect people with loved ones, to give them the power of their voice, writing a poem or story, or an elected official. But actually we have 8 live writing dens a month, 2 in San Diego, 2 in Seattle, where I'm here now, and 4 in New York. So me doing one each week helps me as much as it helps our guests. So it's been, I get there and I don't know what's going to happen for 2 hours, but oh my gosh, I've heard someone's story, or they got to write. There's just so much. So I've really missed that, being so business oriented. And we've adapted with virtual dens, which we can, get into and on our website and everything.
I love it. So this is what we're going to do, Jill. You with me? Stay with me, Jill.
Yeah, always with
we gonna figure out how to make you and what you're doing into an international viral sensation, because we're about to ask the master how it's done. Jenny, talk to us. How are we gonna get this out of here? Jenny's like, what? Me? Who are you talking to? Yes, Jenny. How you become an internet viral sensation? Yeah. TikTok? Is it TikTok?
It is TikTok. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for I guess consulting me for this specific arena. Funny enough, before about a year ago, I was just an operator when it comes to all my businesses. I just focused on the creative aspect, the creating aspect of the operations, sales, marketing, and whatnot. I in no way plan to ever get into the field of influential marketing. There's a very big difference between the hat of an entrepreneur and the hat of an influencer. And I think I'm very grateful, but also the perspective in which I've gained in being able to start off being an entrepreneur first, and having so much of that foundation built. It really helped leverage my ability to tap into my influential marketing and influential side. I just never thought I'd get here. But the pandemic really helped me, activate the survival instinct, right? In which, when I realized that there's not really much to market when the event industry crashed, right? There's only so many apology letters and messages we can write out. There's only so many posts we can really kind of put out before people start thinking we're a little tone deaf, right? So I had decided, I was like, well, when this is all over, because it's going to be over, the only thing that's going to be able to market my companies in the future is me. And I can't depend on any external force. I can't depend on a marketing company or whatnot. All I can do is depend on my voice. All I can do is depend on my personality, my charisma, everything that I've kind of kept internal, right? As just being a builder of my businesses, I never really put myself on the map. Until I decided, well, there's a way to get really playful, right? There's a way to go back to that beginning and really tap into what really ignited all this in the first place, what created our passion to even start, what it is that we do, who it is that we've become from what we do. So I started to, first really kind of use TikTok as a tool for me to really kind of put out my intuition and, also entertainment aspect. And, but I think one of the most important things as we are, putting ourselves as, the face of whatever it is that we want to be known for or be represented of is just making sure that we have the intention of not, being in the public eye for the sake of what people are going to judge us by, but more so with the mindset of, well, what can I deliver, to people that are going to be connecting with my content. Right. So it's I want to say, Cheryl, mindset coaching. I'm very much in alignment with your values and your vision there. It really comes down to putting yourself out there, not with the fear of people judging you or what it is you do or how they're going to perceive what it is that you do, but more so putting yourself out there, knowing that there are people that actually need what it is that you do. So once we start to turn the hat and realize there are people that need to be healed through our comedy, through our experience, through our voice, through our actions, through our organizations. Once we start realizing that I need to put myself out there so that my soul tribe are able to find their way to me and my mission, then it becomes a lot easier to put content. It becomes a lot easier to want to put yourself on the map, just because you realize it's not for you anymore, or the judgment of what people will think of you, but more so of what you're going to do for others. Right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Cheryl.
I'd
Any
love to
reference
add something onto that. What Jenny was saying is that, about not worrying about what other people are going to judge you for. No one is actually judging you. No one is actually judging you. All they are doing is speaking their own limitations, their own fears, their own internal worth. No one is actually judging you. I can put whatever I want out there and someone can come up to me and say, that's amazing. And I think, great. And someone comes up to me and says, I don't like anything you did. And I think, great. It doesn't matter to me because I'm putting out what I feel is important and valuable. And it's my legacy. It's my drop and ripple out. Right. So what I'm doing, I'm so aligned and self-confident now in what I am doing and in my purpose and how I'm serving and elevating others, that when somebody else says to me, I really don't like what you did, my initial thing is, tell me why. I want to understand why or where their limitation is coming from. And we have this negative connotation around judgment, right? We've been told it's bad, but it's not. I can say, I love Jenny's hair, I love Jenny's jacket. Those are judgments, right? So judgments are simply us telling ourselves what we like, what we don't like, what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with. And it can often be insight into areas within ourselves. If I find that I'm doing that typical judgment of something, I immediately stop and say, what am I afraid of? Right? What am I afraid of? And fear is false evidence appearing real. Unless there is a bear. If there is a bear, I live in Canada. If there is a bear, that is fear.
Yes, yes, I agree. Jill, you wanted to say something?
I think it's also too the words that you use, whether you say, you know, it's my opinion or my feedback or my insights versus judgment, which you know, has negative connotations. Also, too, I love everything that you've shared. Everyone's been sharing, and when you were talking about mindset, Cheryl, about how, you know, we see the world, and I think you also mentioned, and Christian's always telling this to me, and it's true, because I'm a very sensitive, conscientious person, and I do take things personally, and I do care whether it's business or personal, but it's how you react to whatever, you know, someone is saying, whether it's judgment or not. So I always kind of what you're sharing, you've been sharing, Cheryl, it's true. It's like, oh, give me more feedback on your judgment or whatever, you know.
But I love it. I love what you had to say, Cheryl, Jenny, Jill, and when I'm gonna come over to you in a minute, Cherice, but I just wanted to say this. I think what I agree with you 100% as far as the judgment, and I use that term a lot on my shows. Like I judge. I tell people because I'll look at something and I'll say, well, you look like this to me, or you don't look like you. Like the lady yesterday, I had a lady who was on the show, and she was like, I'm a bad parent, and she was just talking about how during COVID she was being a bad parent. I was like, you don't look like a bad parent to me. You don't have the aura of a bad parent. You know, I could look at somebody and be like, I don't think you're a good parent, you know, but she didn't have that energy. But one of the things that I love about social media, and I have a reputation on social media for, is I answer every comment. That's my rule. No comment goes unanswered. I don't care if it's positive or it's negative. So people learn that. So when they make a negative comment, be careful, because I'm going to answer you. I'm not the kind of person that you could be like, Sharifa, you suck. Oh, I suck. Okay, well, where's your podcast? Where's, you know, because I'm coming back with questions. What are you doing for the people? How many books have you written? When the last time you ran for political office? So if you want to talk, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. So that's how I approach it. And that, I believe, change starts with a conversation. So yes, I definitely want to hear what you have to say, but be prepared, because I have a response. Cherice, sorry, excuse me, I'm hyping up right now.
No, I think what's resonated with me, because I'm really an introvert by nature. So having a podcast and even having the video blogs is out of my comfort zone, but the passion that I have to share that is greater than my discomfort. But I appreciate what Jenny said as far as that difference between being an influencer. I like that. And with TikTok, my official thought was I would never do TikTok. Why would anyone want to hear or see me being silly? Because I am a silly person. I can be very silly, but I'm also very serious. So it's trying to be your authentic self and sharing and saying, it's okay, I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. And so that makes me think about something that I'm doing with my sister and a cousin and another really dear friend of ours, that we're collaborating. They're in California and I'm in Virginia, but we have started a business called Custom Corporate Cookie Solutions, and we're not officially launched, but softly launched. And so listening to this conversation as far as being true entrepreneurs and putting yourself out there and putting your brand out there and just being yourself allows me to say, maybe we should just kind of get that out there on social media. And even though we're not ready, but just to jump in and go for it. And same thing even with Time Matters, because you're dealing with so many different people, and some people are going to like it, some people aren't going to like it, some people are going to tune into it, some people aren't. So it's been great to hear, especially from different industries, to just kind of do what you got to do, be yourself, and just live your life and do what you do.
People resonate with being authentic. That's the key word, especially after almost 2 years of a global pandemic. The trending word is authentic, being authentic and transparent. Jenny, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, and I agree. And I just want to piggyback off just kind of what we were all discussing, for me, it's so clear and so evident, as all of us are, we come from an entrepreneurship background. But there's a common question, there's a commonality that a lot of rising entrepreneurs and established entrepreneurs have in common. We have this master denominator, which is that we always have that syndrome in which we want something to be perfect before we expose it, whether we want to expose this product, whether we want to expose this brand, whether we want to expose the graphic art for what it is that we're promoting. We have that syndrome where we're like, we're not ready to launch, we're not ready to expose it until it's perfect, or until it's exactly what it is that I saw in my mind, right? And so what's unfortunate with this syndrome is that it holds a lot of entrepreneurs back from actually becoming their greatest potentials. It holds so many people back. It wastes a lot of time, whether we believe to, say we waste time or not, time is right what matters.
Time matters, yeah.
Cherice. So
yes.
I absolutely agree with you. And in my industry, I like to say that I'm the master of time. I only have one shot to do what I do, right? And so efficiency is so important, while what only really holds us back from being able to expose what it is that we love to do, or what it is that we're relaying or translating out there, is our ego, right? Our fear, and this misconception of what we think people are going to interpret, as opposed to really focusing on what that message is, and always getting that minimal viable product or service out there, so that when people do have comments, or when people do have thoughts and beliefs, we perform, we respond with curiosity, right, Cheryl? I love that, the response mechanism has more to do with us being more curious about our response and our reaction, as opposed to defensive, right? And so I think that's what holds so many of entrepreneurs and creators back from really being able to, reach their greatest potential, or even reaching that next level of product launch. It's constantly wanting to create a perception. Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. What I had to laugh when you were speaking, because I agreed with you when you said the master of time. I laughed because when you said you're the master of time, my line is always, don't waste my time. And as I become more successful, I become more, and I say that with all humbleness, but I become more clear on the message of don't waste my time. There was an article that went out last Wednesday about me in the Long Beach Post. And I went from 3,000 Facebook friends to 5,000 Facebook friends. And this was not the first time I've had 5,000 Facebook friends. I just don't like a lot of strangers having access to me. So one day when I get bored and have nothing to do, I just delete about 3,000 people. And then I'm back again, and I'm like, I don't know, I might do it, but right now I'm at 5,000. But I got all of these inbox messages, like just all this random stuff. So I made this post, and I said, please just, you're sending me all these inbox messages. The article went out. I got 2,000 new friends, but this is how I feel about it. And then I put a space and I said, don't waste my time. Period. That's how I feel about it. Because when you're sending me the hey beautiful and good morning beautiful and hey sexy, and then this guy sent me, the one that got me is this guy sent me an inbox, and it was simple, but sometimes I get triggered, so watch me. But it said, the inbox said, what is your name? And I was like, really? Like, you send me a friend request that has my name. That's my name, my legal name. If you want to see my government ID, is Sharifa Hardy. So you send me an inbox asking me what's my name, and you saw my profile that has my name, and then you find my name to inbox me to ask me what's my name. Don't waste my time. Do not waste my time, because it's not about me. It's about the fact that you are filling up my inbox when there are people who want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show. There are people who need assistance with their business. There are people who have questions that they would like to ask Sharifa, but instead you want a good morning beautiful me. Don't waste my time. And I stand on that. And it's not a negative thing. I'm not trying to be rude, but I want to help the people. That's my focus. I just became president of the Black Chamber of Commerce for Long Beach. Don't waste my time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
The things people do for attention, huh?
Yes.
People will say-
Yes.
Oh,
But
It's true.
But I love to
Think-
respond. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Cheryl. I keep cutting you off.
Same thing, like all the time, I'll get these things either LinkedIn messages or through Instagram messages. And one was like, "You're a beautiful mermaid." And my response was, "Clearly you don't know me, because I don't like mermaids. I like flamingos." Right? Like, and then I send my husband's picture. So like it's this, and all you're doing, Sharifa, is putting down a boundary, right? But
Mhm.
what's happened, when we either were growing or changing, I don't know if any of the other ladies have experienced this, but you start to grow and shift in a way and other people don't like it. And you get that snide, "Well, you've changed. Who do you think you are?" And then we kind of, crawl back a little bit and go into the box that they're comfortable with. And I've heard that a lot over this past year. I work with a lot of women business owners who have been struggling with either, homeschooling kids and trying to keep their business and pivoting throughout the business and navigating all of those things. And the biggest challenge I hear from them is, as they're shifting, the peers around them saying, "Do you think you can do that? Ooh, I wouldn't do that. Do you think now's a good idea?" And it's so important to get this circle around you of other women who are in that type of space as you, other, entrepreneurs, and have that support, have that space to be able to bounce ideas off. And, there's days that I message my husband, I'm like, world domination. Like, I had a $25,000 day. I was like, yes, right? These are the things I'm working for. And then 2 days later, I was calling him and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Right? It's that whole roller coaster, but on Instagram, everything looks perfect. Not on my Instagram, because I'll go on stories and I'll tell you how it's going. But I think it's this last year, like, either we've had to set new boundaries because of the circumstances and we get that pushback, or we're, morphing and growing. And it's difficult, it's challenging, especially when you don't have the right support system around you. And so shows like this, Sharifa, they really do empower others and have a ripple out in a way that you can't even know.
Well, thank you. And
Can I
gotta
say
watch
something?
myself. Yes, absolutely. I just want to say, I got to watch myself though, Cheryl, because the lady was on the show yesterday. Prior to going live, we always talk backstage, and I asked her, had anyone seen the Roundtable Talk Show? She was like, "Yeah, I watched that episode where you told the people about your irritation fee." And I was like, I'm in. I was like, "Ooh, did I say that on the show?" So, Cherice, I love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, I think this is great, because just talking about the challenges that everyone has, and we all have them. And I think especially now with our children, our students, that they have had to endure challenges that, we would never have thought any of us would have had to deal with. But the ability to model and show them through our work and our relationships how to pivot, how to be able to adjust and deal with the challenges, and that even if things aren't looking that great, it's okay, and that it is going to get better. And who is around you, like you said, Cheryl, who is around you that is supportive, that is showing you the way to get out of that, to maneuver and getting back to that time? How are you spending this challenging time of COVID to maneuver and make it better, and look at what other opportunities, and maybe for some it's a blessing in disguise, and have you recognize the blessing, and how are you using that blessing? Are you so blinded with negativity that you are missing it? And so it's allowed us, some of us, to kind of step back and say, you know what, we kind of needed some of this time, not so much, because it has been devastating for many people, but to really step back and look at it and find that silver lining of how can we make the best of this circumstance, because we will come out on the other side of it and our kids are watching. And so how we react and deal with these circumstances, I think, is really, really significant and impactful.
I definitely agree. We've had more authors, more entrepreneurs. I mean, that's what they say, more millionaires are made in a recession than any other time. Is because, and the key to that is that before that, you were comfortable. Comfort is the death of inspiration. Because you are making that step. There are cemeteries full of $1 million ideas. Most people take their ideas to the grave, but when you have to figure it out, when you need to, like, oh, I gotta figure out how to eat. I was laid off 8 times, and after everything I've done, the key to starting all of this was simply because my kids were like, "Mom, what's for dinner?" And I was like, I gotta feed these kids. I can figure this out. You know, Jill, I love to hear your thoughts.
You know, resilience is really key. And you're right. I'm right there with you with a lot of different restructures and my resilience to go forward and pivot and change, and everything Cheryl and Jenny and Cherice been talking about, the change. And I think about this because obviously, I felt like I was living the COVID lifestyle as the nimble, pivoting entrepreneur of my business and nonprofit. So everyone else kind of came on board during COVID, but I think it's really interesting. I have a challenge, like we all do. We're kind of creatures of habit, but keeping the change, whether it was spurred, short or long term from something bad or challenging like the pandemic, or something good. But now it's like, all these good things that we've been talking about economically, health-wise, racial, are we actually, going back to what you're saying, bringing it to fruition? You know what I mean? Or do we just go back? We need to go forward to the better normal, right? So I'm just interested and trying to do it myself personally and professionally. All this great change. Am I gonna, some of it, am I gonna continue to implement it or not? And I'm hoping for the rest of the world that we just don't go backwards. We need to keep going forwards.
Absolutely, absolutely. This has been such an interesting conversation. I love what I do. I'm so honored to have the opportunity to sit down with you. Now, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Cheryl.
So I think the biggest thing for me is that, so often we make our past more real than our future because we can see it, we can picture it. And so regardless of the conditions that are around you right now, because I had to file bankruptcy, after my first divorce, like it was just, I know what it's like to be in that situation you never thought you'd be in. So it's look beyond those conditions, look forward, make your future more real than your past could ever be. Picture it the same way that you would a movie in your mind and feel it. And when those feelings come up within you that say, well, who am I? It's not actually who am I? It's I am who. I am who is here to empower other women to shatter their glass ceilings, their limiting beliefs, and move forward and live a life that they desire, live a life that they love by design. We can all have that. We can move beyond where we're at and whatever conditions that we are in. So I just really encourage to reach out for support if it's needed and look forward to the future because the best is yet to come.
I love it. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate you. Where can people find more information about you?
So you can find me, my website is www.keyelement.ca, or you can find me on Instagram at Key Element Solutions. And I have a really exciting program launching in July, where it's a 6-month program for women. And we're diving deep on goals, mindset, next level identity, and money mindset. We're going to smash out of those money mindsets so that we are attracting and receiving everything that we desire as we are leveling up.
Yes, I love that. I'm gonna add some to your package. It's my line. Say this, Sharifa Hardy said, if you do this, you'll get the money mindset. Set boundaries. I know you already had it in there, but that's how you do it. So often, especially as women, we allow people to walk all over our boundaries and then wonder why we don't have any money. You know, set them boundaries, make your money, listen to Cheryl. That's what you do. Thank you. Jill, what do you have for us?
I think I love what Cheryl said. I'm going to say like ditto for Cheryl, which she said, and what Jenny and Cherice will probably share, but just kindness, empathy, and listening in your words and action, personally and professionally. Just continue to do that. Take it from what you've been doing COVID, you know, to the next, as we enter this next exciting chapter of the better normal. And just, I hope that you'll connect and get to know the Art Arsenal at theartarsenal.com. And on Instagram, it's the Art Arsenal with periods between each word. And then writingden.org, the website. Facebook, it's writingden.org. And also on Instagram, it's The Writing Den. So thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. Just, I feel so inspired. I wish we could do the round table. I could do the round table every day. So thank you to you, Cherice. And
To do the round table every day. That's my job. Jill, you could be a co-host. Come back. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's what people do.
Third
They
time
come back.
yeah, first and second word charm, third time will be a charm too. Thank you.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. But Jill, also to remind the people the importance of handwritten notes. Handwritten notes matter, especially in business. One of the things, I have all these weird pet peeves that I do, but I stand by them. But the people who send me anything in the mail, like if they send me a thank you card in the mail, I always post it to my social media. I'll say, this guest sent me this card, they're wonderful, and then I put the link to their show, because I feel that they went the extra step. So guess what? I'm going to go the extra step. I appreciate all the emails. Emails are wonderful. I respond to them, but I post any handwritten, anything that comes in the mail to my social media. Thank you, Jill. Cherice, what do you have for us?
So I really want to share with parents and students to understand that where you are is not where you have to stay, and that we have choices. And the choice, you know, when we went to college, if you went to college, you changed your major, you're probably not even working in the field that you majored in. And so that life is full of change, and each opportunity, whether it was positive or negative at a job or business, helped you grow, and that you learned from that. And that allows you to make additional steps and to learn how to keep those bridges and network, because it's that network that is going to get you that next opportunity or not. And how you respond and behave and interact, that kindness that was spoken about, it's really important, because people recommend other people, and people want to work with kind, nice, loving, giving people. And so you may not be the best qualified, but you may be the best person for the job. And so I think that's really important as you maneuver your path. And we all want all of our kids and each other to be successful and to launch successfully. And so time does matter. And so I encourage you to listen to shows like this. Sharifa, thank you so much. My Time Matters podcast and blog on Facebook. You can find on Facebook at How You Spend Your Time Matters. My Time Matters podcast is on most of the mediums, Spotify. And if you want to contact me to be a virtual mentor, which is what I'm looking for, it doesn't matter what industry you're from. You can email me at howyousspendyourtimematters@gmail.com. But I just think it's really important to know that where you are is not where you have to stay, and that really what we want are choices to be able to live the lifestyle that we want. And I too am a water girl. I love the ocean. And so I am striving through many avenues to get back to beautiful California.
Come on. I love the water. I love living in Long Beach. All
Yes.
my friends, I have friends in Hollywood and Burbank, and they're like, you never come to visit. I never leave Long Beach. You guys do not have water. I can walk to
Right.
the beach in 10 minutes. So
Yes.
I love being here. It's so relaxed. It's so wonderful for meditation. Now, Cherice, if you want, you got yourself a new virtual mentor. I come and mentor the people because I tell you, I went to college. Most people don't know this. I went to college to be an accountant. But what am I doing now? The one thing I've done since, I was a little kid, I talk. I was a talker. I was always a talker. I always ask questions. Why is she doing that? Why is he doing that? Why is she laughing? Why is she not laughing? And that's what I'm doing for a living, even though I went to
Right.
college to be an accountant. So let me talk to those people. I whip them in shape.
Awesome.
Jenny.
Love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jenny, what do you have for us?
The only thing that really, comes to mind for me or comes from my purest intent is to be unapologetically you all the way through from start to finish. Be unapologetically you, have unapologetic dreams, have unapologetic intentions, right? And always, go back to the beginning, right? When things get really busy, when things get really tough, right? Whether we're being a full-time parent, whether we're watching over our parents, whether we're running, multiple establishments, whatever it is that we're all putting so much energy into, when things get to a point where you don't know how to control the controllables, just go back to the beginning. Go back to that nostalgic energy and remember to activate the child within us, activate the version of self that really loved and wanted this to be bigger than just a plan, right? Everything evolves into a great plan, but what was the intent? What was the reason why our inner child wanted to scream this passion of ours, right? So again, unapologetic energy is going to lead you and bulldoze really all the naysayers, all the people that distract you along the way, as long as we go back to the beginning and remind ourselves to activate that nostalgic energy while unapologetically just paving your road towards your ultimate success, no matter what that may be. As far as where you can find me, you can find me, and in fact, a lot of my establishments and social accounts are all linked to my website, which is jennychang.com. And that's Jenny with the Y. But jennychang.com, you'll find all my social accounts and all of my establishments, whether we want to plan an event together, small or large, whether we want to continue to educate, be educated or coach within the events industry. Everything you can find on my website. So
I love it. I love it. Have to check out jennychang.com. I want to thank you all for being here and being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. I definitely appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching the show. I appreciate you for sharing the show. But as I always ask, please do a little bit more. That's when I get into my nonprofit pastor, minister, church role. I need you to dig a little bit deeper today. I need you to give a little bit more. I need you to visit our guest websites. Go to their websites. Their link is in the Facebook post. Follow them on social media. Reach out to them. Work with them. Go to Cherice's podcast. Have a listen. Be an active participant, because our guests were here this morning to help you, to support you, to share their journeys, their information, their advice, and be unapologetically them. So support them. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or if you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at asksharifa.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.